the thing that Ian's about to show you is the sample data. Every user that said we could contact them got an email with a link to this site that Ian's going to show you. And we're really asking for feedback. So if you like it, if you don't like it, let us know both. These are data points that may not have everything that needs to be in the EPLAN data standard yet, but some of them do. We're just, this has been pulled from publicly available information. So our EPLAN team is going in and looking, on the company website and pulling data. If they can get a 3D drawing, they've got that. So varying levels of data, but it's exciting to have this start on this, and it allows us to go back to existing vendors and new vendors, potential vendors, to convince them that there are customers looking for their data. As I said a minute ago, there was an email sent. If you did not get that, or if you've signed up since then, ask your EPLAN salesperson. They can get you a link to it.
Once you have that link, I've actually stored it as a shortcut here on my bar. You go to this sample data for the USA, as it says here. And as it says, the data portal is a primary source for the data portal. This is where the portal data is. The data is checked. There's data that's to the EDS standard. It's high quality access. However, to give you access to manufacturers, as John said, aren't necessarily on the data portal yet, or maybe come into the data portal, although we're working with, we have you the ability to download the parts. So if we scroll down, we can see the sort of parts that are available. Now, interestingly, you don't get to pick individual parts. You have to pick all the parts that we have for a particular manufacturer, and you get everything that's been created for that particular manufacturer. Again, it's not going to be all the parts that the manufacturer has, just the ones that the distributors said are the commonly used parts. When you pick a particular manufacturer and do a download, I did it earlier, so I don't have to sit and you don't have to sit and wait for a download, watching my my wheel spin while it downloads. So when you get a download, what you end up with, well, if I can bring my navigator over here. So I downloaded the ProSoft sample part. So this one, I picked this one. It's 252 megs. And included in that, so it's a zip file. I've unpacked the zip file into the downloads, just again to save time. You get 3 parts, three files. You get an Excel file. Of course, it's going to pop up on my other screen. This is actually an export from the EPLAN parts database once the data has been added in. So it lists information about the manufacturer, what the part is, the various different properties and what have you that are in there. So just a basic list, so you can have a quick look and see, is the part that I want covered by this? You then also get an EDZ file. So for those of you that are not familiar, the EDC file is a EPLAN data portal zip. That's what it stands for. And with that file, you go into the master data in your EPLAN. You'll go to the management of the parts. So here's my parts database. You'll go to the extras and select import. And then you go and find that file, making sure that you pick that it's the right format, the EDZ format. And go and find the file, and you should pick update existing records and add new ones. Chances are they're all going to be new ones, so the existing record is sort of incidental. So once you do that, it'll bring in, for the particular parts, which I've already done, so you don't have to wait, all the parts from that particular manufacturer that you've downloaded. So I can look at those, for example, and I think it was PRS. I'm going to search for the manufacturer's code. So we can see here the source of data that's available. So we've got some prefabricated prefabricated cables, shorts in general items, a wireless adapter of some description, logic items, unit of various descriptions. Those who are familiar with ProSoft will recognize some of these. There's some PLC items. They make PLC cards to go with other manufacturers. So this, for example, is a card that would go on a Point.io or a control, no, Compact Logics, I believe, for example. So this is a Modbus serial. So you see, you've got a lot of the same data. We got the image file, we got macros that go with this device. Once you've imported the data, then you can go and search for the data. Knock my mouse over, let's try again. Again, you could do the same. You could navigate, let's get rid of that. I can navigate through devices and go through the various items, or I could search for those particular, that particular manufacturer. We see the different items. For example, here's a 485 converter. So probably 485 to Ethernet, I would imagine. It's a router. So here's an example of the macro that comes. So you've got some power connections, plus and minus power connections, and then the 485 connections. Those are they're still familiar with using RS485 or 232. Will recognize the names of the receive and the transmit. And then the output, which I would imagine is to Ethernet. So that's an example of the sort of macros you get. If I try and remember what the name of this particular part is, I'm gonna
Copy it.
I'm gonna copy it because my brain's like a sieve and I'll never remember. So what you also get is the macro project that our engineers use to create these macros from. So that is the ZW1 file, this one here. So if you open the idea of giving you that is that you can take what we've got and maybe you don't like the way it looks, you don't like where the text is, you want the connections closer together, further together apart, whatever it might be. You might want it to look different. So we give you the macro data. And obviously, I've got to go and find that one, and I've already forgotten what the name of the part was. ADH something. So, and as you see, the way these are, oh, there it is, it's that one there. The way these are structured in the ZW1 file, the project that we give you, it uses, again, EPLAN parts macros would be one part of the function or one part of the structure. Then the plus part structure, we've used that to identify the various categories within the EPLAN product group. So obviously in the EPLAN parts database, you've got electrical engineering, then you've got transmission paths, and then under transmission paths general. So that's where the structure comes from there. Then the manufacturer's name, we've used the plus structure to manufacturer's name, and we just use the code here. And then finally, we've used the user structure for the part number. So for this part number, we can see it's just got one macro. It's a multi-line macro and it's the router. So let's have a quick look at that. And there we see that's where that macro was created from. So if you decided you want to modify it to make it look something different, you've got the ability to modify it from here. So maybe if you wanted the text to be on the top, for example, and say I want it on the top center, outside, top center. So I want that to be the default. So I make it simple. Then I can save this macro, master data, generate automatically. So let's put it in the right place. Obviously, I do need to do an update. Let's get rid of that one. Okay. And then I could bring it back in and find it. As you see now, the text comes by default the way I would like it. So you can use that. Ignore the fact it was magenta in the macro project and it's blue here. That. The reason that's just down to the setup in my particular project that uses blue for that particular layer rather than magenta for the layer here in the macro project. That's the only reason that's different.
Well, and thank you, Ian. Josh, the ultimate goal of the master data team or data portal team is to never have a customer come in and need a part and it not be there. This is kind of a stopgap measure to help us get more data in based on, and Ian talked about it too. Our distributors, we ask them for lists of parts that they sell. We base this on, quantities sold in the last year by those distributors of what to start pulling in. So we're adding data. We've got 10 manufacturers on there today. In another month, we'll have, I don't know the number, another 10 or 15 added. We're going to continue to add data. And ultimately, the goal is to migrate that data over to the data portal itself, because that is the standard, the repository for the data. This is, as I say, kind of a stopgap measure to get us there and get more data in. One other thing, Ian, if you don't find the part in the data portal and you don't find it in the sample data, what can you do?
This part is really important, John, for a couple of reasons. So we've got a part request here. So if you've got a particular part that is not on the data portal for a manufacturer that already has parts on the data portal, then you can go and request from that manufacturer. So you pick, obviously, from the list of manufacturers. You select what type of device it is. It's a PLC type device. Whether it's a specific part or a range of parts. So, for example, the product range for Rockwell, maybe you want the new Flex IO 5000, or so you might pick a range, or it's an individual part that's part of an existing range, just a specific part. And then you go through and you request it, and that goes through EPLAN onto the team, in this case, the team at Rockwell.
Right.
It's important to do that.
So that's just when you go into the data portal, that is one of the icons over on the left. It's part request. You can't find the part. If you searched the way Ian showed, searching by manufacturer, searching by part number, you can't find it. You can go to that parts request and request that of the manufacturer.